What's up, everybody? Today is Monday, December 29th, 2025, and today I made exactly $3,600 day trading NQ. Despite just coming out of the holiday season and it being December, I thought we were going to have questionable price action, but today was actually really clean and we had a lot of possible moves you could have taken. I'll go over some other possible trades that you could have caught today, but mainly going to focus on the trade that I took. If you guys don't know, I trade inversion fair value gaps. I built hands down the simplest inversion fair value gap model in the space. If you want to learn how I trade and trade alongside me every day, link in the description to the Discord. You have PDFs on my model, you have videos breaking down my model, everything for free, live trading every single day. Join the Discord, learn my model, and start trading this. But let's get right into the recap. All right, so coming into the morning, this is what we had on the higher time frame, and I'll show you a couple things that I was considering for this trade. When I made my bias, I was actually leaning kind of bullish, and you'll see why in a minute. But today's trade was actually a short, and you'll see why I took that too. So what we had here and we were trading inside of and just traded out of was this massive 4-hour fair value gap. And we inversed this to the downside, so I knew we had the rest of this new week opening gap to fill in along with this low. So on the very high time frame, I was leaning kind of bearish, but I thought off market open we needed some sort of pullback because we were pretty overextended to the downside. Dropping to the hourly time frame, one thing to take note of is we had no fair value gaps to the downside. We just had this low, and we already had traded through all the gaps to the downside. So we should probably trade to this low. But considering we were overextended to the downside, I noticed we had London highs above us that we made overnight. But London highs also aligned with a 1-hour fair value gap, and we were still trading inside of another hourly gap. So I knew we may take some liquidity to the upside. I wanted London highs as a draw for longs coming into the morning, but I knew we probably wouldn't trade past or through London highs. That being said, I'm going to put my bias that I sent out to the community on stream now, and this is what I was thinking coming into the morning. And one thing to take note of, which I really want to emphasize, is this massive 5-minute fair value gap to the upside. I set this fair value gap as my condition for the day. If we traded through this, I knew we'd trade to London highs. I knew that for sure. And if this held, I figured we'd just rotate immediately to the downside to the 4-hour lows. So this was my condition for the morning, and you'll see it's 9:25 right now, and you'll see how we reacted immediately off open. All right, so like I said, London highs was resting above. If we inverse this 5-minute, I wanted to look for a continuation long, like you saw in my bias, but you'll see if I let market open play out, literally within the most massive candle ever, we just swept London highs right away, and we also formed an SMT at London highs with ES. That being said, my draw was London, and I didn't think we'd trade past it, so now that it was taken, even though I didn't catch the move that I wanted, I knew we'd probably rotate to the downside towards those 4-hour lows, which I was looking to target. So what I started doing was looking for entries that I could possibly take to the downside. Now, all that being said, obviously we made a massive move, so the 4-hour lows that I wanted were literally 750 ticks away, which is going to be a massive sell-off, so I knew I was going to have to wait a little bit to see if we truly were bearish. So what I set for my condition and possible entry to the downside was an inversion of both of these 5-minute fair value gaps. I marked out these gaps and took into consideration that considering we made such a bullish reaction off of open, if we were going to continue higher throughout the rest of the day and my new short bias was going to be invalidated, we'd probably react off of this upper 5-minute fair value gap and the equilibrium of this gap. Now that my draw was taken, knowing that we wanted to flip to the downside, my theory that I came up with was that if we were going to continue higher, considering how bullish we were off of open, we would probably trade back into this 5-minute fair value gap and hold it along with reacting off of equilibrium of this range. So what I was looking for was either a reaction off of somewhere in this level, or if we trade through these, that would be good enough for me to enter short targeting these 4-hour lows. You'll see when I let the next few candles play out, what happened was we trade into this fair value gap, but instead of reacting off of equilibrium and off of these gaps, we trade right through this first 5-minute fair value gap. Now I was looking for an entry short, so all I was waiting for was the highest time frame inversion. I had enough confidence in knowing that we took London highs, put in an SMT there, and saw an immediate V-shaped reaction off it to the downside. We probably were looking to sell off even more, and if I let the next candle play out, you'll see we inverse this 5-minute fair value gap to the downside, also aligning perfectly with 10 a.m. open. This was all I needed to enter short. Now, considering this was a massive trade and this final draw was literally 400 ticks away, I wasn't going to hold fully and only to that low. So one draw on liquidity, which is always a super strong draw for me, was a 930 wick, and we left one of those off open. So my plan was to go break even at this 930 wick, along with using it as my TP1. That being said, I'll let this play out, but another confluence that I had was we clearly broke structure to the downside. We had a couple unfilled gaps to the upside that were being respected, so I knew my stop loss was going to be protected, and you'll see within about 10 to 15 minutes, we smashed TP1. So we smashed TP1 here. I moved my stop loss to break even, and you'll see, unfortunately, within the next few candles, the remainder of my position was stopped at break even. I was in with 10 micro contracts. I took 5 off at my first take profit, which was 180 ticks away. So that net me $450 profit on all 8 of the accounts I took this on. 5 being my funded futures accounts and 3 being alpha futures accounts. So I walked out with exactly $3,600 on this trade. Now, of course, I took a win. I was done for the day with that trade, but my power also went out, so I couldn't signal any more trades to the server, unfortunately. But one more play, which I really liked after this played out, was we swept this 930 wick and we put in an SMT at this low with ES. So obviously, we took a strong draw on liquidity. We could have flipped to the upside, and that's exactly what we did. You'll see immediately after we hit TP1, that 930 wick with that SMT, within 2 candles, we had a V-shaped reaction to the upside. We traded through this 5-minute fair value gap, but the entry that would have been the most optimal entry would have been the inversion of this 3-minute fair value gap right here, which we made right after sweeping that wick. This was super V-shaped. You could have got it in off this 3-minute inversion. Obviously, the 5-minute was the highest time frame draw, and the target for this trade would have been the unfilled 5-minute fair value gap above. And clearly, you can see within a few candles, we traded right to that unfilled 5-minute fair value gap, rebalancing this range that we sold off to and hitting what would have been full take profit. I didn't take it, but it's just something to consider. We had super clean price action. This was a great trade, and it was literally a ping pong style. Took a draw, took a draw, took a draw. Great price action. You love to see that. You love to see V-shaped recoveries, and that was another great possible trade you could have taken. All that being said, both of these setups I would rank at least A, considering we had some sort of SMT, V-shaped recoveries, great momentum all throughout the session. Today was just great price action. I loved it, and I was kind of surprised considering it's the end of December and we're moving into the new year. I thought it was going to be slow, but I love to see that today. Most people should have been able to catch a move, whether you trade CISD inversions. But all that being said, good price action, great execution. Today was another great trading day to end off 2025. Going forward throughout the rest of the year, and which is only a few days, obviously, I'm probably going to take some risk off the table. That was another great trade to end off the year, so I'm kind of going to be trading evals. We have shortened hours on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, bank holiday, so won't be trading that. Definitely going to play defensive for the rest of the week and year, but starting January 5th, I'm looking for super clean price action. That's when I'm going to really go back in, heavy on the risk. Probably be trading minis rather than micros, and hopefully be trading all my funded at once coming into 2026. All that said and done, Discord link in the description, free live trading every single day. I break down my entire model in the Discord. I have videos and PDFs for all of you to look at. I have hands down the simplest inversion model in the space, so check it out. You can pick it up quick, DM me with questions, get in the community, get involved, meet some traders, and I will see you all in the next trade recap.